All right, today we're going to take a look at creating a Target-10 spec to program into the M.O.L.E profiler. And the Target-10 spec is a reflow specification for your initial slope values, your soak time or the time between temperature, and time above liquidus, as well as your peak temperature on the profile. And so if you want to set specifications for this in your reflow profiles, this is a great tutorial for you. And this is a great place to start actually with the background here on my desktop. You can see our Mega Series profilers, the V.MOLE on the left, the SuperMOLE Gold 2 in the middle, our 6-channel, and the 20-channel MegaMOLE on the right hand side. They all have an OK button on them. You can see here on the left hand side their OK button is used specifically for this Target-10 spec, and so once you program this into the profiler and run it through the oven, you'll be able to simply hit this OK button to see if all of your channels are within the spec that you created in MAP software. And so if you get a green light, you're good to go to continue production. And if you get a red light, you may want to take a second look at the profile and see where any of the channels may be outside of your specification. And so to get started here, let's go ahead and launch MAP software. And we're going to select our wizards menu at the top, and we're going to create Target-10 spec. And we're going to do this from an existing profile that's already recorded in the M.O.L.E, which is ideally one of the same assembly that you're measuring. And so we would only select oven checker if we had that specific palette product from ECD that we're using it with. But existing profile is what we'll want to start with here. And I'm going to say that I'm using a 3-channel V.MOLE today. And so we'll select the V.MOLE and hit next, and it's going to list your profiles that are in the memory of the V.MOLE in this case. And so I'm going to say that add a known good profile here, second one down, and we'll select next. And it wants you to verify each channel that you're utilizing or that you want to be checking against the specification. And so we'll say that all 3 of our channels we want to check against the specification. If you had a channel that you were using for an ambient temperature, for example, that wasn't going to be on the board, you could leave that one blank. And since it's only a 3-channel profiler, of course, we won't be selecting any on the 4 through 6 to verify here. And so once you've verified your channels, go ahead and select next. And this is where we get to create our Target-10 spec. And so what we'll want to hit here is the Modify Target-10 button. And we'll be able to, you can see here on the left-hand side, we'll be able to modify our slope values, soak, time above, and peak here in this menu. And so starting with slope, let's say, for example, our the solder paste specification is a great place to start. If you're wondering what you should have as a reflow spec for your profiles or your assembly, the solder paste specification is a great place to start. But if you want to hone your specifications in further or have tighter specs, for example, let's say that your solder paste specification says your initial slope can heat at anywhere between 2 to 6 degrees per second. However, let's say you have a component on your board that you can only heat at a maximum of 5 degrees per second. And so we'll modify this to bring this in tighter from the solder paste specification and click OK. And so now our slope value is from 2 to 5 degrees per second, and anything else would be out of spec. And so same type of deal with the time between temperatures. If you have a, in this case, this is time between temperature of 140 to 170 degrees C for this profile. And our solder paste specification says that we can have anywhere from 80 to 140 seconds in that range. And again, we can bring this in tighter if we need to for components, or you can also make looser specifications if needed, for it, just depending on your assembly and your solder paste mainly. And so we can click OK to that, and our time above liquidus, that's the liquid where the solder is in a liquidus form. And again here, lower spec limit at 25, upper of 60. And if you wanted to have only, say, 45, you can modify that here. For this profile, you can see that this brings it out of spec, actually, because we spent 49 seconds in the liquidus zone. And so let's say that 50 is a max, just so that we can keep it clean looking for this tutorial. And our peak temperature as well. If you have a component on the board, say that can't get above 230, for example, a heat-sensitive LED, for example, we can modify that, and so that our specification will take into account the sensitivity of that LED. And so once we've entered these values that are specific for our process paste and our assembly, our components that we're adding to the assembly board, we can click OK to our specifications. And for our profile, we can see that we are still in spec across all channels for our profile. And at that point, we can send these settings to the MOLE. And so you'll select the Send to MOLE option, and you can just save it as the default name that it creates for it. And that will, I'm going to use a demo instrument, in this case, our V.MOLE 3-channel. That's going to program the V.MOLE with our reflow specifications. And so that now when we run it through the oven with our assembly, we can simply hit the OK button after we're done recording and see if that most recent profile was in spec per the Target-10 spec that we've created.